Hello AAC Universe and welcome to History Of. I'm your host and resident superhero nerd Aaron Waller, and this is the series where we do a deep dive of various comic book characters, both heroes and villains, and we give a little bit of insight into who they are and why they do what they do. And in today's video we're going to be talking about probably one of the coolest DC characters who comes from a pretty brutal back history, and that's Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood. But before we get started, we'd like to do as Joey calls as paying some bills. So I want to tell you to check out animeapparelcompany.com for all your awesome nerdy merch from Marvel, DC, gaming, Star Wars, anime, and so much more. And you can even use my special discount code Aaron20 to get 20% off your order, add some more stuff, and save some more money. Now that that's taken care of, let's go ahead and get into talking about the Red Hood. Now there have been several people who have been the Red Hood, Jason Todd being the most famous and taking on that role more specifically, but before we get into him, we have to kind of explain the back history of the character of Red Hood first. Jason Todd was written by Jim Starlin and first appeared as a successor to Dick Grayson's Robin in Batman number 357 in 1983. But it wouldn't be until 2005 that Jason Todd in the Red Hood that we know and love would come back from the grave and become a fan favorite DC character. And before we even talk about his history, let's find out a little bit more about Jason Todd's powers and abilities. As with most members of the Bat family, Jason Todd has no superpowers, but he has been trained by Bruce Wayne in various forms of combat. He has the same acrobatic, martial arts, strategy, and detective training as former Robin Dick Grayson did as well. Though after his resurrection, Jason would become even more of a brutal fighter with increased speed and strength as well. Plus it helps that he knows Batman's every move, having trained under him, making him in some ways even better than the Dark Knight. Where Red Hood differs from his companions is he isn't afraid to use weapons. He's a master with various weaponry including machine guns, shotguns, and explosives, but Red Hood still heavily relies on batarangs of his own design and is often depicted with a pair of modified handguns. Now that you know a little bit more about how intense Jason is, let's get a little bit more of a backstory as to how he got to where he is. As I mentioned earlier, Jason Todd is not the first Red Hood. In fact, the Red Hood was originally the Joker. Well, not the Joker yet, but rather he was a character who appeared in Detective Comics number 168 in 1951 wearing a red dome mask, red cape, and tuxedo. He kind of looked like Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, but just with a red dome helmet. Anyway, this character would be chased by Batman and fall into a vat of chemicals, ultimately turning him into the Joker. And this story would be told over various iterations, including Batman the Killing Joke in 1988 and Batman the Man Who Laughs in 2005. But Red Hood is best known as Jason Todd. And as I said, Jason was the second person to take up the mantle of Robin, with his first appearance occurring in Detective Comics number 525 in 1983. Jason was very similar to Dick Grayson in origin, with his family being from the circus and then being killed by Killer Croc. DC would even go as far as making him use a replica Robin costume of the first Robin as well. Once the Crisis on Infinite Earth story was complete, Jason's origins would be changed to that of a street orphan who was trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile before being caught and taken in by Batman. He was initially well received but would become despised by fans, and DC Comics would hold a telephone poll in 1988 to determine if the character would die. This four-part story would be titled The Death in the Family and be published during Batman issues number 426 to 429. The poll would come down to a vote of 5,343 votes for killing Jason and 5,271 against killing Jason. Only 72 votes were the deciding factor as to whether this character would live or die, though there is some controversy as to whether there was actually some tampering with this system or not, but ultimately Jason would be killed. So the story would be written that Jason Todd attempts to find his real mother and is drawn into a warehouse where he's deceived and kidnapped by the Joker. Then he's brutally beaten with a crowbar and left for dead with a ticking time bomb. This would become known as Batman's greatest failure, and he even displays Jason's Robin suit in the Batcave as a reminder. Todd would return during the Hush story arc, but only as Clayface impersonating him to torment Batman. And he would remain officially dead until 2005, where he would be resurrected by Judd Winnick in the Under the Red Hood story. It's during this story that Jason is restored to life by Superboy Prime, after he alters reality to find that Jason was actually supposed to survive the Joker's attacks. He would wander around for some time with amnesia and eventually go into a coma. After that, he would be found by Talia al Ghul and taken to her father, Ra's al Ghul, where they would put him in the Lazarus Pit. It's here that it's said that Todd would truly go mad, and thus his tirade as the Red Hood would begin. He would then return to Gotham as the Red Hood and begin taking control of several gangs to overtake the crime lord Black Mask. Then in Batman 638, Batman begins to piece together that Red Hood's fighting style is similar to that of Jason, that he discovers the resurrection of his former partner. Eventually Jason is able to kidnap the Joker and lure Batman to Crime Alley, where he offers the ultimatum of killing the Joker for his crimes or Batman killing Jason. Batman is able to stop Jason and prevent the Joker's death, but that's nowhere near the end of the Red Hood. There's also a really awesome DC animated movie also called Batman Under the Red Hood that's totally awesome, probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite DC animated movie, that I highly recommend checking out if you want to get some more of this backstory. Jason would eventually resurface as a more ruthless version of Nightwing. Eventually he would be stopped by the actual Nightwing and even team up with him before he drops the charade and returns being the Red Hood. Eventually Todd would even become Red Robin during the Countdown storyline, and even fight his fellow Bat family members in the battle for the cowl after Bruce Wayne's death. Once DC relaunched with the New 52 and again with Rebirth 5 short years later, Red Hood's story would somewhat be changed, but his death and resurrection would largely remain the same, though he would become a member of the Teen Titans and eventually form his own team called the Outlaws, with former Teen Titan Roy Harper aka Speedy/Red Arrow and Starfire. Nowadays Red Hood is largely a member of the Bat family and is somewhat of an anti-hero. Jason Todd has only been depicted in live action in one instance, and that's with DC's Titans, where he's been played by Kieran Walters. It won't be until this upcoming third season that Jason will be making his full official appearance as the Red Hood though. So those are some of the things you need to know about Jason Todd aka the Red Hood. Did you learn anything in this video that you may not have known otherwise? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and also leave me a comment as to let me know what other characters you may not want to see in this series. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos from me or the rest of the AAC team, as we have new content daily. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it and hope to see you in the next video.